Sorry guys, my camera was out of focus like the last 5 videos that I filmed. Welcome back, you guys. I'm Caitlin from Leave Me Alone Plants, and today we are going to be talking about 10 plants that spike my anxiety through the roof. Now, houseplants are typically known to be something that's a really relaxing hobby. It calms anxiety. It can help people who are feeling down or depressed. You know, they're really just a fantastic thing to have around your house. Except some of them are not. So today's entire list is going to be plants that in some way, shape, or form give me high levels of anxiety while caring for them, or at this point not caring for them because they have sadly passed away. Of course, if you have plants that give you anxiety and you think are difficult or just frustrating to care for, then please drop them in the comments down below, because listen girl, I'm not trying to buy those plants either. So with that said, let's dive into it. Now, to preface this video, I've been caring for plants, well, on and off. I've been into houseplants as a whole probably for about 10 years now, but I recently got back into them about 2 years ago and really started going hard, I guess you could say, with adding to my collection. At this point, I have probably about 100-ish plants in my collection, and I've had lots that have come and go for various reasons in addition to those 100 that are currently living in my house. So needless to say, I have a fair amount of experience with handling different types of plants and caring for them. Plant number 1 on my list is this variegated peace lily, but for all intents and purposes on this list, it's really just any peace lily in general. Now, if you watched that video, then this guy might have been looking a little better at that point. As you can see, he's looking a little sad. I promise though, he's not dying. They're just super dramatic and thirsty. So really for me, living here, it's very dry and I have to water these guys, I don't know, every like 12 hours or so. So, you know, I get very stressed out anytime I have to go away, anytime that, you know, I just can't commit all my love and attention to this plant, because as you can see, it gets very droopy and very sad very fast. The next plant on my list is one that I don't have here with me today because dun dun dun, sadly it has met its demise, and that is a Boston fern. I'll put a picture of it right here. Maybe I even have a picture of the one that I had at one point. I'm always so attracted to these plants when I see them in the store, so it's so unfortunate that I kill every single one that comes into my house. But, you know, I don't know if it's just a matter of me not watering enough, that I don't have enough humidity in my house, or just some other combination of factors, but literally days after I bring these plants into my house, they start to crisp up and all the little leaflets on the fern all start falling all over the place. Now, of course, it saddens me in my core that I'm killing a plant, for one, but also it is so annoying to have these little leaflets flying everywhere. If I bump into the plant, if I touch the plant, if I look at the plant, it is making a disaster of my house. So that is plant number 2 on the list. Plant number 3. I'm a little embarrassed to even have this plant on camera right now. The only thing I could think of when I was picking up this plant is that scene from Toy Story when Buzz Lightyear's like, "You're a strange, sad little man." That's how I feel about this plant. And you know, on so many occasions I have tried to have Duncans. This was the first one that I ever bought, and I just kind of sadly hold on to it, and it never really does well. It used to be in the background over there. I've recently tried moving it somewhere else, and yeah, just it doesn't really want to be happy for me. These guys really want to have a super moist soil, and again, I think kind of a common theme in these plants in today's video is me maybe just not watering my plants fast enough. I do tend to be a little bit of an underwaterer, but you know, as soon as this guy's soil gets dry, he just completely looks sad and it all goes downhill from there. Interestingly enough, a common problem that I have with these guys, and I can't figure out for the life of me what it is almost days, not even days, hours after I bring them into my house, and you know, I've had multiple of these that I purchased, and it happens to every single one. I'll get these brown spots on the leaves, and they're kind of like brown and squishy. I believe there's some kind of fungus or bacteria. I don't know if there's just fungus in my air, but it happens every single time I buy one of these plants, and they just, you know, I mean, there's not much left to say about this, so yeah. The next plant on my list is actually a succulent, which is so interesting because succulents, of course, are typically known for being really easy to care for and being very low maintenance. And that is indeed the case with this guy. I don't think I said it, but he's a donkey tail. And the real thing that stresses me out about this plant is just how delicate it is. So, you know, these plants, basically, if you even like bump into them or touch them, or I'm probably like breathing too much on this plant right now, these little tiny leaflets will all come flying off of the plant, and you know, once they come off, then they're just gone. That's it. So I just walk so carefully and with caution around this plant. I try not to move him too much, and even when I'm picking him up to do a video, I'm super nervous and cautious that I'm just going to drop him and the leaflets are going to fly everywhere. Additionally, I feel like this plant needs to be repotted because when I do go to water it, the water just runs straight through it. However, I quite honestly just don't have the slightest idea of how I'm going to get this plant out of the pot without knocking every single leaf off of it. I did see a video where some lady like poked chopsticks into the soil and then she just lifted it out, so maybe I will do a video on that and we can all watch along with how that goes, because yeah, I have a feeling this guy definitely is a little root bound at this point and is in need of a repotting. This next plant on my list I know is a fan favorite in the plant community for being hated and anxiety provoking, and that is my croton. Now these crotons come in a whole different variety of you know, shapes, sizes, colors, and they're just stunning, beautiful plants. I mean, you can see those yellow, I forget what the lines on leaves are called. They have an official like scientific name, but we'll just call them the lines. You can see those lines are, you know, these beautiful pops of yellow, and some varieties have like red, and they're so colorful, they're so gorgeous. But you know, kind of similar to the peace lily, if you don't water it, as soon as the soil starts to dry out, these leaves will just, you know, droop over and completely fall off. They're super dramatic. They don't like people at all. Like, this is probably the Carol Baskin of plants. And yeah, overall they're a little on the finicky side. This leaf just kind of fell off as we were speaking, so I guess I'll rest my point there. The next plant on my list is actually not even a house plant, as you can see, or maybe you can't see. It is a tomato plant, and these plants, or any edible at all, for some reason evokes a high level of stress for me. I think, you know, for me, these plants do tend to be a little, well, okay, a lot difficult to take care of. I have them living out on my patio. It's about 110 degrees. They get a lot of sun, and with that said, I have to water these plants about 3 times a day, and I wish that was a joke, but it's not. I've already watered this guy, you know, in the morning, and his soil is completely dry. So, you know, as the day goes on, I can just kind of watch these leaves crisp up and wilt up, and you know, every time that a leaf dies, and I'll say that I'm like pruning it, but really I'm just cutting up my past mistakes. I worry that these tomatoes are never going to develop, and really all I want is just one single tomato. That's all I care about. So I think if I can get one single tomato to ripen on this plant, we will call it a win, and I will have less stress about it. But until that happens, I consider these plants, at least for me, to be a pretty stressful plant to take care of. Our next plant dropped a leaf on its way over here, and if you can't guess what this plant is already, it is, of course, my zebra plant. Now, interestingly enough, this was one of the very first plants that I had in my collection, and back when little old naive me had no idea what I was getting myself into, I, you know, fell in love with the beautiful pinstriping on these leaves. And, you know, granted, they are absolutely beautiful, but what is not beautiful is the fact that if this soil is not soaking wet at all times, and I quite literally mean soaking wet, it will get these brown tips, the leaves fall off, and as you can see, I at this point just have this weird long, like leggy looking stem that comes out of the soil with a couple leaves attached to the top. Now granted, we've spent so much time together that I basically just feel like this plant will not give me the satisfaction of dying. It just, you know, exists solely for making my life difficult. But, you know, I feel like at first I was a little upset with how it looked, but I almost feel like it's so weird at this point that I'm starting to like it. Is that weird? Again, kind of similar to the Croton, I see these guys, you know, kind of like hated on in my plant groups all the time. So I know it's not just me. I know these are difficult plants to take care of. So, you know, kind of another issue that I used to have with them that now that I keep the soil a little more moist that I don't have so much anymore is they used to just completely like seize up and curl up and what a nightmare. So if you're new to plants and you happen to wander into a box store and see one of these, please do yourself a favor and don't buy one. The next plant on our list is another one that I sadly no longer have in my collection. He has left us on this earth and is in a better place now, and that is my string of pearls. Now, I have had multiple strings of pearls in my lifetime, and unfortunately they always come to a sad demise. Now, the first one that I had been top watering it, and I had just overdone it, so you know the roots had rotted, and subsequently then the little pearls decided to rot on top of there as well. Now, what had confused me at the time is when the pearls start to rot, they get a little wrinkly, and that triggered in my mind when I saw wrinkles on my plant that I needed to go in and water it more, which in turn ended up killing it even faster. Now, on the second go around that I had with these pearls, I thought I was wiser and I was going to outsmart these string of pearls. I was not going to let them die this time. But the string of pearls had other plans. So I had decided that to avoid that situation completely, I was going to bottom water it. Well, in those days I had still been new to bottom watering, and the disaster that I had undergone was leaving it in a saucer to pick up water far too long. I let it soak up way too much water, and instead of rotting from the top down, this time it had simply rotted from the bottom up, and we were in the same disaster again. Now, to be fair, I am still always so attracted to these plants when I see them. I still desperately want one, and I'm sure one of these days we will try for round 3. You know, 3 times the charm, so maybe it's gonna work. But overall, every time I see these plants, despite how beautiful they are, I get this little pit in my stomach of like, ooh, this is not gonna end well. So that is, I believe, plant number 8 on our list today. Plant number 9. This is my African mask plant, or the Alocasia Polly. And this plant stresses me out for a variety of reasons. For one, compared to any other plant in my collection, I don't have this issue with any other plant, but every single time I come to this plant, it has spider mites on it. It is covered in spider mites every single time. So you might be able to see that this guy's a little wet. I just gave him a shower. I have to bathe him frequently because, you know, he's always covered in spider mites. I've tried everything from, you know, neem oil to wiping him down with soapy water to showering him. It doesn't matter. There's always spider mites. Now, in addition to my spider mite problem, as you can probably see, I don't have a ton of leaves on this plant. And for some reason, I don't know if it's that he doesn't get enough sunlight, which seems unlikely because he's in the brightest window in my house, or if, you know, it has something to do with a spider mite infestation. But for some reason, these 2 tubulars that I have in here refuse to grow any more than 2 leaves at a time. As soon as a new leaf starts to come in, the other one just dies off, and, you know, part of me feels like that's normal, but also when I go to the store, I'll like see other ones there and they have all these leaves on it. I can't figure it out. I don't know why I can only grow 2 leaves at a time. My only redeeming hope for thinking that I don't completely let this plant down care-wise is that this spring it did bloom 2 flowers, so I'll see if I can find a picture. I think I still have it, and I'll put it over here. That was like the most exciting thing that has ever happened to me. But the final thing that, you know, just stresses me out about this plant is I mean, like, look at how beautiful these are. I literally feel like I have no business owning a plant this beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this happens to anyone else, but like sometimes you just walk past a really attractive person and you just like get nervous, and that's the same way that I feel about plants. Like sometimes I see a plant and it's so beautiful and I'm like, oh my god, that has no business living in my home. You know what I'm saying? No? Just me? Okay. And plant number 10 that stresses me out is my sago palm. I feel like we have this issue every time. I don't know where to put my face. It's probably just not going to be in focus, so hang tight. But this plant stresses me out again for a variety of reasons. The first one, as you can probably see, or I'm not sure if it is showing up on camera, but these, you know, these little, I can't even think of what these are called, the palms. Every time that one of these little sections turns yellow on here, that's just it. It's just yellow from now on, and it's not coming back. It's not growing a new one. That's just, you know, the way that this plant looks now. And, you know, because of, I don't know, inconsistent watering on my part, it happens from time to time. And by time to time, I mean like basically every week. So because of that, what you might see that I have been doing is every time that it gets these, you know, yellow ends on it or whole yellow leaves, I just prune it up and chop them off. So it has a limited number of leaves on it considering its age. And you know, you might be able to see actually very excitingly, I have a new set of leaves coming, sprouting out of the middle right now, but those new set of leaves only come out once a year. So you get one shot every year not to mess it up and to have those leaves come in. Now the other thing that tends to stress me out about this plant is mostly just based on where I have it placed on my patio. It sits right next to me. It's super nice because, you know, when I'm on like a Zoom call with people at work, they can see my palm and it looks so tropical on my patio. But this guy's actually deceivingly sharp. Like if you touch these things, they have almost little thorns, not thorns, but like little pokers on the end, like little needles, and they'll stick into you, and it's not comfortable. It's not nice. He's not a nice plant. So this is plant number 10. This is the last guy on our list, but please, again, if you have plants that you think belong on this list, drop them in the comments down below so I can avoid those plants like the plague. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. We always have care videos coming out and we have weekly videos like this one. So hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.